The St. John of Damascus Orthodox Educational Initiative presents the Damascene Podcast.
On the Lord by St. Ephraim the Syrian, Section 4. This is the son of the carpenter, who skillfully made his cross a bridge over Sheol that swallows up all, and brought over mankind into the dwelling of life. And because it was through the tree that mankind had fallen into Sheol, so upon the tree they passed over into the dwelling of life. Through the tree, then, wherein bitterness was tasted, through it also sweetness was tasted, that we might learn of him that amongst the creatures nothing resists him. Glory be to thee, who didst lay thy cross as a bridge over death, that souls might pass over upon it from the dwelling of the dead to the dwelling of life. Section 5. The Gentiles praise thee, that thy word has become a mirror before them, that in it they might see death, secretly swallowing up their lives. But graven images were being adorned by their artificers, and by their adornments were disfiguring their adorners. But thou didst draw them to thy cross. And while the beauties of the body were disfigured upon it, the beauties of the mind shone forth upon it. Then, as for the Gentiles who used to go after gods which were no gods, he who was God went after them, and by his words, as by a bridle, turned them from many gods to the one. This is that mighty one, whose preaching became a bridle in the jaws of the Gentiles, and led them away from idols to him that sent him. But the dead idols, with their closed mouths, used to feed on the life of their worshippers. On this account thou didst mingle in their flesh that blood of thine, by which death was enfeebled and laid low, that the mouths of their devourers might be driven away from their lives. Also because Israel slew thee, and was defiled by thy blood, that idolatry that had been engrafted upon him was driven away from him on account of thy blood. For he was weaned from that heathenism through thy blood, because that from it he had never before been weaned. But Israel crucified our Lord, on the plea that verily he was seducing us from the one God. But they themselves used constantly to wander away from the one God through their many idols. While then they imagine they crucify him who reduces them from the one God, they are found to be led away by him from all idols to the one God, to the end that because they did not voluntarily learn of him that he is God, they might by compulsion learn of him that he is God, when the good which had accrued to them through him should accuse them concerning the evil which their hands had done. Thus, even though the tongue of the oppressors denied, yet the help with which they were helped convicted them. For grace loaded them beyond their power, so that they should be ashamed, while laden with thy blessings, to deny thy person. And also thou didst have mercy on those whose lives had been made food for dead idols. For the one calf which they made in the desert pastured on their lives as on grass in the desert. For that idolatry which they had stolen and brought out in their hearts from Egypt, when it was made manifest, slew openly those in whom it was dwelling secretly. For it was like fire, concealed in wood, which when it is gendered forth from within, burns it. For Moses ground to powder the calf, and caused them to drink it in the water of ordeal, that by drinking of the calf, all those who were living for its worship might die. For the sons of Levi ran upon them, those who ran to help Moses and girded on their swords. For the sons of Levi did not know whom they should slay, because those that worshipped were mingled with those that worshipped not. But he, for whom it was easy to distinguished those who were defiled from those who were not defiled, so that the innocent might give thanks that their innocence had not passed unseen by the just one, and the guilty might be convicted that their offense had not escaped the eye of the judge. But the sons of Levi were the open avengers. Accordingly, Moses set a mark upon the offenders, that it might be easy for the avengers to avenge. For the draught of the calf entered those in whom the love of the calf was dwelling, and displayed in them a manifest sign, that the drawn sword might rush upon them. The congregation, therefore, which had committed fornication in the worship of the calf, he caused to drink of the water of ordeal, that the mark of adulteresses might appear in it. From hence was derived that law about women, that they should drink the water of ordeal, that by the mark that came on adulteresses, the congregation might be reminded of its fornication that was in the worship of the calf, and be on its guard with fear against another fornication, and remember the former fornication with penitence of soul. And that when they were judging their women, if they played the harlot against them, they might condemn themselves who were playing the harlot against their God.